I don't even know the right word to describe you guys, but I think revolutionaries. And I don't know if that's too harsh. How do you guys feel about that?
Too harsh. That's quite generous.
You don't think so? Like with Beatport and what you guys did? I mean, I'd love to talk about that and kind of the formation of that. And that might be jumping the gun a little bit. Like, I want to know what your childhood is like. But before we get to that, like, you don't feel like that with what you created with Beatport?
Yeah, I think we created something that was super important and needed. And I think, it's lasted for a long time and still pretty successful. So I think whenever you create something, basically with an idea from scratch, you want it to have some longevity, and, multiple generations now have been able to use it. And I think it's made a lot of people like dance music probably a lot more, and made it a lot more accessible. Sometimes maybe too accessible, but I think it's revolutionary. I wouldn't know if I'd go that far.
I don't know. What,
part of the culture for sure.
Can you describe it a little bit and like kind of what it does and how it came to be?
I mean, so Beatport is a la carte downloads focused on DJs, so high quality dance music purchased one song at a time. All around the world, 130 countries, at least when we left. Every country that FedEx delivers to.
But when that started, that was what, 2004? Mm-hmm. Come on, that is the idea. Even if you said what you said just now in 2004, people had to look at you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if revolutionary is the right word. I would say like industry changing. Like it completely changed the entire industry from vinyl, to digital media. Revolutionary to me is like launching satellites, like, and making
Elon Musk landing that rocket.
Making internet free for the whole world.
Yeah.
I think necessary though, as without Beatport or Apple Music or TrackSource or whatever, it was still it's a physical job. So you have to go down to the store and buy the record and have the record player and all that stuff. And so Beatport kind of eliminated that. Definitely you need a digital CD player, whether it's a laptop or a CDJ or Serato or Tractor. But I think it just made it a lot more accessible and gave a lot more people the opportunity to quote unquote call themselves a DJ.
So when you came up, was that your idea, or how did that kind of evolve?
It wasn't really. No, it definitely wasn't my idea. It was more Jonas and Eloy. Those guys kind of came up with it, and they were a little bit more nerdy when it came to like digital software. And then I think Eloy was the one that bought either Tractor or Final Scratch. And so I think
it was still on like Linux.
Yeah.
Like you can even run it on an operating system.
And so he went to Jonas and said, hey, this is really dumb that I have to encode my vinyl to an MP3. Why don't we just make an MP3 and just sell the MP, because it doesn't make sense to go from vinyl to an MP3 than to go back into a laptop to be able to DJ. I came along a little bit after that, probably 6 months after they kind of came up with the idea, and it was more like, well, you guys don't really know anybody. And so, at that point I was a pretty big promoter. I'd done my rave parties with Together Productions.
In Denver?
In Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, Together Productions with Jason. We did our Skylab parties. We were doing pretty big parties about that time. And then we moved into the Church and Vinyl as a promoter. And at that time we were bringing quite a bit of talent in, and so
that your role was just promoting, like you're getting people to come into the show, you're booking the talent.
Okay. Yeah, when I was working for Regis, I was kind of like Thursdays at the church and Saturdays at Vinyl, so I would book the DJs, promote it, build the flyer with the firm graphics, and get the flyer street team to distribute it, and so this was all going on at the same time, and so I clearly knew in my brain that, the music was moving from vinyl to digital. This
is like Napster era, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But you could just see it in the raves, from everybody playing turntables, and then, the CDJ 100 came, and then the CDJ 1000, and then by the time, we started Beatport, at that point we had 4 CDJ 1000s. They weren't being used maybe 10% of the time, but, fast forward to 2008, and the CDJ 1000s were used 90% of the time. So there was this like flip exactly on that time when the world was moving from analog to digital. So I always say, if it wasn't Beatport, it would have been TrackSource or DJ Download, or somebody was
almost the right place, right time.
Would have emerged as the winner. But we had a cool brand. We built a cool brand here in Denver, and then our European offices were in Berlin. that was at that time the coolest city in the world for electronic music. So the combination of those two, I think, made Beatport, pretty iconic.
And then, Shawn, when do you come into the picture? Like, right, because it was kind of in the infancy of Beatport as well,
yeah,
right?
I mean, it was right there at the beginning. I mean, I was there a year before we launched the company, so helped build up the brand with Brad and everybody. And then, I remember when we launched, I just saw a picture. It was the 20-year anniversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Does that trip you guys out?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, we look a little younger then.
And a lot skinnier.
Well, it's funny because even as manufactured superstars, you guys threw on the gear and the jumpsuits, like the space astronaut suits, and it's like had such an identity. When did that start to form? So Beatport was a success, and then when did you make this evolution into like, all right, cool, I'm a promoter, and then what did you do, Shawn, before?
Before Beatport, I went to school for music engineering. Before that, I went to school for electrical engineering. So, I mean, numerous different, roles.
And then you guys were like, hey, you know what? Let's do some music together.
No. Shawn was a drum and bass producer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when he moved to Denver,
This is 99.
Yeah. When we were throwing Skylab and our rewind parties, our drum and bass parties, Shawn immediately he had a DJ partner named Echo, and so those guys were pretty big drum and bass producers and DJs, and so they would play for us quite a bit. Then when I took over the Church and Vinyl, by then, whenever we do drum and bass with Fury, it was kind of Fury, Echo, and Sabotage. Those were kind of the three drum and bass producers that we used. And so when we started Beatport, we brought in Wyatt, we brought in Shawn, we brought in Liz. Like those were the three people that were really close to us to like kind of run the company. And then for Manufactured Superstars, I know exactly how it started, and Shawn might have a different story, but I'll tell you
I like that he laughs right away, like he knows.
I'll tell you my version.
No, I think it's pretty close.
So we were down in Buenos Aires at the South American Music Conference, and I very vividly remember Above and Beyond was playing, and they were
And
playing
Richie Houghton.
in Richie Houghton. It was a big. I mean, it was a big 20. Tiesto was there. It was a big like 20,000.
What year was that? 2007.
Around there.
I could find a picture probably.
But it was like a 20,000 person party. Beatport, we were like the flagship sponsor of the South American Music Conference.
Couple years, Beatport's been in
Beatport's
motion.
we're starting to get bigger and bigger.
The first 2 years we were so tiny, nobody knew about
yeah.
us. I mean, it took us 2 years to get 300 labels.
Yeah,
Like, because people weren't downloading songs. People would still be like, no, we're going to play vinyl. It'd be like trying to get you to switch back to shoot this in film. I tell your producer, like, we're going to film tomorrow. You can't shoot digital.
But no,
People are like, what?
I mean, 2004 was small. 2006 it started escalating. By 2007, 2008 it was really.
And this is when you're doing the show. Then at that point,
and at this point we have big enough budgets to be that we're sponsoring Miami Music Week. We're sponsoring Sonar. Sponsoring the South American Music Conference. So we're down in Buenos Aires, and at this big festival that we're sponsoring, and Above and Beyond's headlining. And I go to Shawn. They're playing in Ableton Live. And I was a little bit confused. I'm a promoter. I see DJs every week, and I've never really seen anybody DJ like they are. They're playing strictly pretty much off the laptop. And so I asked Shawn, I was like, hey, what are they doing? He's like, they're playing in Ableton Live. And Ableton was built out of the company, out of Native Instruments from Berlin. So they're another Berlin company. So kind of familiar with Native Instruments and Ableton, SoundCloud, all those companies were in the same place in Berlin. So he kind of explains it to me. He's like, oh, they made their album in Ableton and they're just basically playing their album. And so I was like, so not really DJing? He's like, they are kind of DJing, but not really. And I was like, so kind of stuck in my head. And I think we're flying back. It's like a 12-hour flight. And so I was just like, so you mean to tell me I could put all my favorite songs into the software and we can
hit the buttons real quick and make them all go crazy.
And we can technically play it. And he's like, well, it's not really meant for that, but probably. And then that just kind of, in my opinion, that's how we kind of started Manufactured Superstars. I don't know what your story is.
Well, I mean, it's definitely that, but it was also the fact that you couldn't find anybody to book on Friday nights, and all the other DJs weren't selling any tickets, so we kind of started.
Yeah, I was at that point I was really annoyed with my resident DJs because we were, just like now, every promoter will tell you that the talent just keeps on getting more expensive. And so, every year that I was a promoter or owned a club or whatever, the DJs got more expensive. And so it was
they wouldn't sell any more tickets.
Yeah,
so they'd be the same price.
So they want more money, but
it was
nothing.
just DJ inflation.
Yeah, and so I was more like I wanted to build up some more and put a lot of money and time and resources into building up local DJs to try to get them to get over the hump. And I was more like
This was at the church and vinyl still, right?
Yeah,
okay,
this
this
is
is
a
still the
vinyl.
church and vinyl.
Okay.
And so it was more of like a case study, like, you know,
Can we do it?
can we do it?
But it was really also just to kind of take our own music and try to make a good party and fun. I mean, the first 10 or 15 shows we did were all super themed. Manufactured Superstars Prom, Manufactured Superstars Halloween, Manufactured Superstars New Year's Eve Extravaganza. I mean, I don't even know what
And it
else
was just you
gonna
two
go.
having fun almost.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. We were still at Beatport full time. We might have done we started doing the stuff with Paul Oakenfold in Vegas, but that was also a themed event too, Perfecto. They would do the dancers and the fire and the whole planet thing and went with the space theme.
And that's kind of where the spacesuits came from. You kind of jump forward a little bit. The spacesuits came. We started getting booked a little bit more, and it was like kind of hard to figure out what to wear. Like we have a lot of both of us are like
I don't know the genre of dress style.
fashionably or different, but we were starting to get booked more, and I was just like figuring out what to wear is kind of a pain in the ass. And so Skylab was the big space themed rave that I used to do, and Planet Perfecto was where we played for Paul Oakenfold, and we were the residents there, and that was a space theme. And so it was really easy, like, oh well, let's just wear the spacesuits for, I think it was a Halloween party. Oh, let's wear them to Planet Perfecto. Oh, well, we should just wear these all the time.
Oh, it makes it way easier to pack.
Yeah.
Put 3 spacesuits in a bag and just wear the same tracksuit for the whole week.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where the spacesuits. That is not kind of. That's exactly where the spacesuits came from. And it's like more we wanted to be more like a band and more like a less like individual DJs. And we were kind of an opposite of what was going on with Beatport in Berlin. Like music in Berlin was very serious. Techno was very, very serious. And Manufactured Superstars was kind of an alter
What do you mean
ego.
serious?
Like
what's-
it was just like to the producers and to the record labels
Yeah.
and to the kids that go out and hear the music. Like
we did it for fun.
yeah, Berlin techno
They
was.
did it to, I don't know. I don't know the right.
It was just a very serious thing. Like Germans are serious
Yeah.
people in general,
Yeah.
and they're very serious about their music. There's no joking. There's no like
Yeah.
having fun. And so Manufactured Superstars was just kind of like not a fuck you to our German team or anything, but just more like dance music can go in a lot of different directions. And
Yeah.
so,
Did you get, I don't want to say pushback, but how did people react to you dressing up and kind of approaching it with not such a serious?
When we wore the orange spacesuits, we got a lot of people asking us if we were prisoners.
yeah, that's true. I mean, it was just
No,
it was
it
just
was
more.
fun.
I mean, for me, it was more like I wanted people to recognize us, but not have to be Brad and Shawn. Like, I mean, Manufactured Superstars was not really Bradley Roulier and Shawn Sabo. It was Manufactured Superstars, and our characters and our kind of persona that we built for that. For me, it was a little bit more of an alter ego, because I was like Beta and Beatport and like kind of business over here.
That was the German serious side, yeah.
And then Manufactured Superstars was like, oh, let's just go and have fun and do tequila shots and play Britney Spears really loud.
But then you guys started working with big name artists as well, right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, we had years where we played 140 shows a year. I mean, we had multiple years in a row. I mean, we were,
EDC, all that
we
stuff.
played EDC. We had residencies in Vegas, all over Asia. We played in Macau, Hong Kong, Singapore, EDC. I mean, South America,
I mean,
Ibiza.
that came from him because we, probably our first 10 sets were just like pure mashup DJ sets that are just crazy all the board. And Shawn's like comes to me and it's like, hey, if we're going to, be taken seriously, we have to actually produce our own music. And he's like, hey, let's try and get a remix for someone. And
So it went from the approach of you just, hey, we can put a bunch of music together and hit the buttons to,
and
hey,
Shawn-
let's control this. And
Shawn probably put out how many drum and bass records did you guys put out?
I don't know.
25, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I
50.
was gonna say 24.
Yeah,
But
so-
but
so
that was
he-
vinyl. It was harder then.
Yeah, so
Now
he-
somebody just finishes a song and uploads it to Beatport like the next day. Vinyl was like an investment. You had to hire promotion companies, mail it,
Yeah,
take
so
orders from record stores. Like, who wants to do that work?
so he knew how to produce music, and so he's just basically told me like, hey, get somebody, let's get some remixes and let's I want to get back into the studio. Let's figure it out. And so at that point I called Liz, who was my assistant forever, and kind of the trade was when she came, I called her back from Australia when we started Beatport. I was like, hey, you need to come back to Denver. We're starting Beatport. And so we had a very good relationship. So after about 2 years, she's like, I came back to do this. She's like, I want to go run the Berlin office. And so in 2006, 2007, she ran the Berlin office for us. And then probably around 2008, 2009, 2000, I can't remember, probably 2010, she left Beatport to go run run the dance music label for Atlantic, which was Big Beat. And so she kind of got into this new job where she's pretty big executive at a major record label. So I call her and say, hey, I was sending people our mixes, and people were definitely interested in what we were doing. It was just a little bit different. I was like, hey, Shawn and I want to start producing. Can we do a remix? So she calls me back like 2 or 3 days later, sends me the parts to a song. I don't even know anything. So I just basically give it to Shawn and one of our producers and say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And so
think about what? What do you mean? Like
we're doing a remix for this for this artist.
So here's the pieces.
Here's the stems.
And then they give you the pieces.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so these guys are working on it. And we're sitting in the studio and we're working hard on this track. So it's our first remix that we've ever done. Shawn's figuring out how I'm going to get to that.
I don't remember.
I'm going to get to that. So about 3 weeks later, we turned the remix back in, and Liz calls me back and said, "Oh, the remix is great." Oh, she said, yeah, to give a little bit more context to the story, she's like, we signed this artist. We don't know if he's going to be big or not. We don't have any dance music remixes of this. It's a pop song. So I sent it back to her. She was like, yeah, your remix is good. What do you think about the artist? And I was like, well, I've listened to him now for like 3 weeks straight every day.
You're a little over it, right?
I'm not completely sick of it, and I think he's going to be really big. His voice is amazing.
Wow.
And it was Bruno Mars, Just the Way You Are. So our very first remix that we ever did was Bruno Mars, and our version sold more than the original in Europe. And so that was really like the kind of the catapult that got us. Immediately after that, we got remixes from David Guetta, from Tiesto, from Cascade. People started hitting us up pretty quickly after that, and then right after that, we signed a 3-album deal with Big Beat, and so or with Black Hole.
Can you walk through that process? Okay, because like for someone like myself who's not in that space, it kind of seems like we got a stem song, yada yada yada. Then it was Bruno Mars, but like, what is that process? Like when you're saying you're spending weeks in there, you're adding beats, you're adding sounds. Like what do you?
I mean, you could take whatever aspects of the original. You've heard remixes where all they use is like a little part of the verse. You've heard remixes where they use the same piano and progression and just make it harder or dancier. So
you just change. Oh, that's it. It.
We basically select all, deleted. I think we kept the chord progression and the vocals. And that was it.
Yeah.
It remade the entire song. But the original song was not dancey at all.
Yeah,
you remember pop music then was not like it is now. This is before Calvin Harris, before David Guetta. Like every song wasn't a dance song. Like now every pop song basically is a dance song.
Yeah.
Before it was like 82 BPM, it was more like 90s vibe.
Yeah, that track was slow. I mean, if you listen to our remix, it sounds really fast still to this day.
But it was the best selling, you said, in
Europe.
In Europe, wow.
And we didn't get even paid for it. It was trade.
So how does that work then? So like at that point, are you guys like, hey, we're on to something? Like what triggers in your mind as you're doing that? I mean, Bruno Mars, how long till he blew up? But I mean, at that point, it's like, are you like, okay, we're on to something here. We need to keep doing these remixes. David Guetta's hitting us up. Like, how does that evolve?
Well, we wanted to keep making our own music, but obviously, the access to talented vocalists is hard. So when you do remixes, you get awesome acapellas out the gates. You can, really make great content for DJing. So we'd kind of do a little bit of both, and we started working on original tracks at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, so we probably did 100 remixes and, probably 50 or 60 original songs.
Yeah.
And then are you taking when you go out as manufactured superstars, is that what you're playing? Or
I mean, to a percentage, but we still try to keep it fun and focused on the audience, the vibe, the nightclub, the city. I mean, there's a lot that goes into programming dance music.
Yeah.
You got to play Vegas is more of a party than New York at 2:00. I mean, we played Posh in New York City. I mean, that's a completely different vibe than playing Rain the night after DJ AM in Vegas. You know what I mean? It's two totally different aspects.
How do you learn the vibe of a town? Like what drives that? Is it just experience of being out there enough? Or are you like going out there one night like, oh, that was not good?
No, I think it's more experience of the audience in the club than it is the town.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas we played is probably is different than we'd play anywhere else. And we probably played of our 900 to 1,000 shows I think we did as manufactured superstars. Played well over 100 in Vegas, and that was the only one that was different, where usually you play the hits at the beginning and then go into your newer stuff, Where Vegas, you play all your new stuff at the beginning, and then as the night progresses, everybody gets more drunk and they just want to hear hits. So I would say Vegas.
But it also goes late. You know what I mean? Denver doesn't. Like Vegas.
1 a.m. you're done in Denver. Yeah.
I mean, excess was able
we
until
wouldn't
5.
even go on until 1 or 1:30, and there was multiple times we'd play till 4:35.
And you guys had a residency in Vegas, right?
Yeah, we had a residency at Excess for I think 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
Or so like, what were you guys? It's so crazy when you talk to someone, you realize, hey, there's this venture from like we're promoters and we're just song engineers to what you do now. And I think people just see the celebrityism of it, right? But you guys had this progression. But what was that like mentality wise for you guys? Were you like, holy shit, like now we have this residency and we've made it? Or where were you guys at from your mind frame?
I think my whole point when we started was I just wanted to DJ in New York, LA, Miami, Vegas. That was all. Like if Manufactured Superstars just did that and we played once a month and had parties, played cool parties, that was all the intent really was. I just think we just kind of caught lightning in a bottle. We were the exact right sound at the exact right time. And crazy enough to really push the envelope a lot farther than everyone else does. If you go to Vegas now, I think almost every DJ kind of has that Manufactured Superstars formula, especially the house music guys. Yeah. Like, I think not that we created it. I think David Guetta was pretty important into that. But those times that Calvin Harris opened up for us. I mean, Avicii, we were
opened up for us. Alessa opened up for us. It was a bunch.
I mean, we had the right sound at the right time, and like I said, because this wasn't really our full-time job, or we had other things going on. We could just have fun with it, and it allowed us to like push.
The pressures weren't there.
Yeah. Push the envelope a little bit.
Plus, we never took it that serious. We didn't really know where it was going to go.
Yeah, and so
like there definitely wasn't the point where we sat down and we're like, let's become international celebrities and travel all around the world.
Yeah, there was nothing. I think we played 150 shows like six or 7 years in a row. That was not the intent. I think that was just kind of ended up happening, and it was definitely really fun, but it wasn't to do that. I don't even think when we did 3 albums, I don't think even 3 albums was my goal ever. Like one album would have been fine. But it just kind of kept going and going and going.
Wow. So where are you guys at now with music? I mean, what your last track that you guys produced together, when was that?
6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big deal having you guys together then, right? When was the last time you guys were together doing like an interview?
I mean...
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
This is breaking, yeah.
I mean, we hang out all the time. I mean, I see him at we go to the gym, go to the same gym. Like we have dinner, we hang out, we do all sorts of stuff. But we haven't. Games. Yeah, go to Nuggets games, but we haven't toured or worked. I mean, the last few weekends is the first time that we've literally sat down and actually had a real regiment. Like, I mean, we hung out the last 3 days in a row working on music, getting ready for Halloween. So
yeah, and that is part of the reason why you guys are here. Coloween is coming up, big show. It's like the biggest Halloween party in Colorado, and they got like a $10,000 costume prize, but it goes down every year. And you guys are actually performing there.
Yeah, we're excited. We like I said, we've spent 60 or 70 hours worth of time already on our set for 1.5 hours.
Yeah. And right now, I don't know if we have 1.5 hours of music. We probably have another 20 or 30 hours to work to make sure that we have 90 minutes of music.
Talk to me about that regimen. What is that like? Like you guys come together, JJ approaches you, say, hey, I want to bring you guys back together. Are you hesitant? Are you like, yeah, let's do this?
Well, JJ's been asking me, I think, for about 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just haven't felt like it. I think I was saying I spent a little bit of time in Tulum. And Mexico, and I kind of like where music's going. Shawn spent quite a bit of time in Ibiza this summer, and I think both of us agree that music is in a much cooler place, much more of stuff that we like. If we were to do something, I didn't want to play music that we didn't really like, no matter what. From the beginning, since we started our first crazy mashups that we used to do. I always enjoyed the music that we played. I always thought it was really fun. Sometimes we take it a little bit cheesier than necessary. Sometimes we played a little bit harder than I would have liked. But for the most part, I really enjoyed the music that we played. If you asked us to play three years ago, I don't know if I could have come up with a set
that would have been different enough that we wanted
that would
to
have
do
been interesting enough or different enough to to spend 60 hours.
So did you feel like you both came together? Like, yeah, now's the time? Or was it kind of like JJ twisted your arm, you twisted Shawn's arm?
No, not at all. I mean, I think that now is just the time. I think that, we're both evolved and at the right stage in our life, and we're both re-inspired by music again. And that's really the biggest, proponent of it. And we both have, vastly successful careers in different aspects. I mean, you know what I mean? Whether it's music or entertainment or, cannabis and other .com and tech companies. So we've always been entrepreneurs and worked on a bunch of stuff. So it was never like, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, I guess we have to go tour again. It was more just like when we were ready to kind of be inspired by music. I mean, I still have a full studio in my condo, analog synthesizers, all that stuff. I've made beats. Like I'll get drunk with my friends and make weird techno songs and things like that. So music has always been a part of it.
God, I want to go party at your house.
Yeah.
But we never really got to do a farewell tour or anything because kind of we were becoming a lot interested in DJing. But then COVID came. And so that was kind of made it stop. And so we never really picked it up.
Killed nightclubs.
So we never really got to do like a farewell tour or like last show or, any of the things to kind of like button up the, kind of the what is it, 10-year run that we had, 9-year run. That was pretty epic.
And you both wanted that, right? Like, did you both feel like, I mean, closure is the wrong word, I guess, but maybe the right word. Did you feel
I don't
like...
know. I don't think we ever really thought about closure. It was just kind of like, the world shut off and we hadn't really finished that project, and then nightclubs and everything kind of just shut down too. So, and then we just never came back with it.
Yeah. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was like take gigs away from other DJs. Like we weren't competitive about, being on the highest slot on the flyer or, playing the best time slot or booting another DJ off the lineup or, whatever. I mean, we were part of the dance music community. We were never a lot of the DJs are very competitive with each other, like you look at the trance guys, they're very serious. This is their one
their business,
this is their business
their
and
livelihood.
this is their life, and they got agents and managers, and we had agents and managers, but we never like pushed the envelope.
We didn't listen to them.
Like get us higher on the flyer, get us more money on the gig. Like it was
all about fun.
Yeah, for us it was like make sure that we're having a good time.
Do you feel like that just comes across in your guys' music then? I mean, it seems like the vibe is just fun.
We hope it does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's obviously bands, like the Beastie Boys were always out there to have fun. Their shows, I think, represented it. They never took themselves too serious, and you have other people that take themselves super serious. So
yeah, we always wanted to be party DJs and like have fun and make sure that everybody that's there is on the same vibe that we are.
I mean, we really wanted to be the Beastie Boys, but then hang out with Britney Spears.
Yeah,
that was really the goal.
Well, who have you hung out with? I mean, you David Guetta hit you up. Bruno Mars was kind of not officially launched when you guys did that remix. It's like, or to the level, I guess I wouldn't say officially launched, but the level is like, does it blow your mind? Like, what celebrities have you been working with where you're like, wow, I can't believe we worked with that person? You guys aren't even like that.
I mean, we hung out with everybody. I mean, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga. I mean, Pasquale from Insomniacs, one of our good
Paris
friends.
Hilton,
Paris Hilton. I mean, the
LA
whole
thing, the
Steve
Vegas
Wynn,
thing.
Jesse Waits. I mean, David Grutman. I mean, Eddie D. Like it just goes on and on. I mean,
but then even then, is it more of just the music? Like all of those individuals come in the room and it's about making music, right? It's not even about...
Or just, I think it's all about experiences. If you name people like Grutman and stuff, you know what I mean? Like he's the club owner of Live and like all of the Live sub clubs and restaurants. And Jason Strauss, the same thing with like the Tao Group and all those guys. So those guys are about creating experiences, whether it's restaurant or music or nightclub. So that's something that we always really wanted to be involved with as well.
And isn't that what you guys have evolved to? Because I know you got Bounce Empire, and I want to talk about that. But what are you getting into now? Like, it's been a couple years since you guys have been doing the music. Like, what are you focused on?
I've done 2 cannabis companies. We did a company called Evo Lab that we took public during the last green rush right before COVID. And we have a new company called Sano Gardens that's operating in right now 4 states, making vape pens, gummies, edibles. Another company called Teeny Tiny Science. So lots of entrepreneurial companies in the cannabis sector.
And does that help with your music at all? Like, do you feel like or is it just more of
It helps you sleep. I mean, I think that there's kind of like a substance for every feeling. Like I like to smoke a little weed and write a little music. I don't really like to smoke weed and go out though.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes.
Will you smoke and then before you go on the stage or anything like that, or is it kind of mess with you a little bit?
I mean, I'm capable of anything before I go on stage.
There sounds like a story there.
I'm notorious for saying I'm not going to drink tonight and probably never not drinking.
I would say of the 900 shows we did, 700 times Sean's like, I'm not drinking tonight.
And 695 of them I drank.
No, I think 699. I think the only ones you didn't drink is when we were just too hungover.
I was sick.
Too hungover or sick.
I mean, Tiesto told us that you always have to do the show unless you're basically dead because the people, they don't care if you're in a bad mood, you fought with your girlfriend, or you're kind of sick. Because like they paid for the ticket 6 months ago to come see you, so you have to show up every single time.
As a performance.
As a performance. I mean, unless you are literally like in a hospital.
Yeah, that's when you see the tweets that go out and the artist apologizes. And then with you, Brad, you've been in Bounce Empire and a lot of stuff that you have going on. I mean, even the popcorn game.
Yeah, I mean, I've kept myself busy. I mean, I have the Sacred Society Music, which is the ambient record label, and that's kind of been keeping a lot of my time the last 3 years, not working on Manufactured Superstars, is being able to express myself creatively through Sacred Society Music, which is, all in Dolby Atmos, all 306, all spatial audio. I really like.
So does that mean you're playing with the sound surrounding you? Wow.
Yeah, and so with the same studio that Shawn and I made all of our albums at, they converted that into a Dolby Atmos studio. Remember, we were there when we did our last podcast.
Yeah.
And that has taken a lot of my creativity and that I was missing from that we didn't have because Shawn and I weren't DJing. So I've been working on that and it's going really, really well. It's all ambient music, but it's all really, really well produced.
And then Bounce Empire is like an indoor. Is like nothing like the music space, but it's all an indoor kind of amusement park.
They have a stage and a DJ setup.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. The actually floor lifts up and smoke comes out.
Yeah, so Bounce Empire is exactly the opposite of Sacred Society Music, where it's sensory overload, kids and people going crazy. I think we just booked our 1000th birthday party, had 150,000 customers our first year.
My kid was one of those birthday parties. Yeah.
So I mean, it's a really fun place. I mean, everything that I do.
Birthday parties? Is that what you said?
1,000, yeah. Everything that I've done.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids.
From my adult life, whether it's throwing raves or being a promoter at the Church of Vinyl, owning Beta, everything being Manufactured Superstars, everything goes back to like people having a good time. And so Bounce Empire is like that next part of entertaining from 3-year-olds all the way up to we had Chris Brown not too long ago. So we take care of a lot
Miles
of
from the Broncos and Rocky.
Yeah, we get all those people. So it's really fun. It's a great place. I think everybody should go check it out.
Do you guys? Because 20 years you guys worked together, right? Before you stopped performing. I mean, you had Beatport, and then
we've been working together since
like
about 20 years right now.
Right now, about 20
Do you
years.
ever? I mean,
I met him in probably 99, 2000.
So 25 years.
Yeah.
So do you guys ever like fond for each other? Like, is there that missing point of like, I know you guys see each other at the gym and all that stuff, but are you ever like looking at that moment? It's like, God, man, we got to get back out there and tour again. Like we're gonna go Coloween and then we're gonna.
I don't think it was ever like we got to get back out there and tour. I think it was more about like if we can both get inspired on a cool project. I don't, whether it's music or not. I think if we were gonna start even another company together, it'd be like, can we just get on the right vibe?
I mean, the thing about Shawn and I, and with any good relationship, like I think we really complement each other really well. Like I know what he's really good at, and and he knows what I'm really good at. And so
apparently drinking every night. But
I mean, he's pretty good at drinking too. Don't get me wrong. I can tell you some stories about him showing up a day later drunk. So.
But I think just from a professional standpoint, like knowing what to expect, what he's capable of doing, what I'm capable of doing is really nice. I mean, even though we're working on this set for Coloween, it's not like we missed a lot of like we did it so much
just pick it up.
Well, we really did pick up, like we just kind of dropped off. We were both kind of shocked. It was yesterday afternoon when he left. We were like, did we really just get all that done? Like,
yeah,
all right.
I figured we were going to be working every day, up until Coloween to get everything organized, to be able to put on a performance that
So
that we were proud of. Yeah,
JJ came up to you, said, "Let's do it."
Because we are not trying to phone it in. I promise you, we are not going to show up and play all of the old music.
Well, it's been a while, so I mean, there had to be a little. I don't want to say pressure, but a little bit of like, man, we want to kill this.
We just want to, we wanted to update the sound, and we really took the exact same formula we had for doing edits and reworking songs that we used in the past. That's why it actually worked so well, because we literally went back to that exact same thing, but with all new music. And it was amazing how quick we literally just got right back into the zone where it was like, oh, cool, shorten this, make this longer. Boom, boom, boom. So
get right into it.
Yeah.
So what's Coloween's happening? Anything after that? Any new music that you guys are going to release?
I mean, we are going to work on a few mixes and probably like an EP through Q1, and then we'll see where the journey takes us. I mean, I think that we are inspired, and we want to really showcase that to people so they can see it. And hopefully we get the energy back from them and they're inspired. And that will probably drive our creativity as far as it's going to go. I mean, if we can get the energy back from people and the vibes how we want it to be, then we'll continue to do it. If we show up and everybody's like, I think they're a little too far out there, maybe we'll go bigger. I don't know. Who knows?
What is that? Like you say energy, but for someone who doesn't perform, like I'm not a performer by any means. Like I have walked in, introduced artists in front of Fiddler's Green, which is kind of an experience, if that. But it's like, what is that energy like? Is it euphoric? Is it like an adrenaline rush? Like if you get a vibe off of people, what does that feel like?
But I think it's both an adrenaline and euphoric. I mean,
if you do it good, it's really easy. It's really interesting. Like if you get the vibe, because we usually played for pretty big crowds, probably always over 1,000, but a lot of times 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. So they're there to have fun, right? But you can get them to jump, you can get them to sing, you can get them to clap, you can get them to stop. Like you can, if they're engaged and they're liking what we're doing, it's pretty easy to keep them going. People want to have fun, and they want to have fun together. And that's where I always say DJs are really important, because they can make your night, but more importantly, they can ruin your night. Like there are sometimes you go somewhere with a group of friends and you want to have fun, and the vibe's not what it is, and so I always try to make sure that we never played the same set twice. That's what a lot of people are like, manufacturer superstars, you guys just play the same records every night, same order. It was like, no, that never happened. I mean, usually within...
So that's a myth, right? Like you're playing all the music in there and then you're just pretending like you're hitting the buttons.
With us, it's complete myth. I mean, never.
Yeah.
And we would know, like, I would always, we'll probably do we will do the same thing at Coloween. We'll probably play within the first 5 tracks. We take it, really high energy. We'll take it kind of old school. We'll kind of take it vibey. We'll take something new. We'll take like kind of a hit, and we'll put those in the first 5 or 10 songs. And you can see how the audience is reacting to what, and be like, oh, this crowd really, really likes commercial stuff, Shawn. Let's go play more commercial stuff. This crowd wants to hear new stuff. They really, you can tell what people want, and then just try to take them on that vibe. And then you can't do too much of anything either, so you got to you can bang it out for 15 minutes, but you got to give them a break and let them vibe for a minute, let them sing for a minute, and bring them back in. It's always like let them rest, bring them back in. You can't be like some of these DJs that are just like straight to 100 the whole night. Like that's not what we are.
It's a flow.
Ideally we'd like to play an hour and a half to 2 hours and take people on kind of a journey of dance music. Hits, classics, our classic hits, new music, new vibes, stuff that we really like. So,
would the younger self be tripped out by what you're doing? Like, were you into music growing up to where?
I mean, I was making drum and bass, and all that stuff back in the day. But that was 25 years ago.
Yeah,
they were longer.
So, do you ever expect you'd be doing what you're doing now, or what you did?
As far as Manufactured Superstars making a comeback?
Yeah, just performing to that nature of like.
No, I mean. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we ever really, like you said, we never really thought that we were going to go out and play EDC main stage. That wasn't like the goal on day one. I think the goal was always to just keep evolving the sound and keep making things that we were happy with. And I think that that's what most good, successful artists do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that why can't I think of the name? Who hosted Saturday Night Live this week? The girl, Billie Eilish. I don't think Billie Eilish sat in her basement with her brother and was like, "I'm going to be the biggest name in pop music," or rock. Over,
She just loved the art.
She just loved the art, and her brother kept making good songs, and then eventually people were like, "Oh shit, we like that." And then all of a sudden, I think that's how natural, if you're not the Backstreet Boys, I think that's how artists evolve.
Yeah.
And as a joke, we called ourselves manufactured superstars, but it never really was like we're the Backstreet Boys. You could just change out the people in the spacesuit every 2 years, and they just stay on tour forever.
Yeah, it's young
like
and
Menudo,
refreshed. Yeah.
Like every 2 years, we get a younger blonde and a younger guy with curly hair, and we just shove them in the spacesuits, and they go out. So,
What do you think? Were you into that music game as a kid as well, so heavy, or how did it evolve to what it? Because I mean, you're a promoter first.
Yeah, I mean, I was a promoter first, so I always looked at it from the promoter point of view.
A business side.
I still look at everything from a promoter point of view. Like, I always side with the club owner or the promoter, not the artist. I'm never on the artist side, and so I wanted to be an artist that wasn't that was easy to work with, that was fun, that wouldn't bust like I don't like it. When artists and managers.
he doesn't want to see a 30-step rider.
Never. I mean, the stuff that we like, the trauma that we went through throwing raves in the late 90s, early 2000s was enough to, like, you should be so happy that you have a place to go and play your music, to 5, 10, 15,000 people. Same thing with the club. Like, the amount of work that would be done so a DJ could just show up and put their USB stick in. I always wanted to be cognizant of that and respectful to that.
So now for a serious question, did the old spacesuits fit, or did you have to get new ones? How did
They're one size fits all, so it's perfect.
So you just pulled it out of the closet. You're still good.
As long as you're under 6'3", I think you can wear the spacesuit.
Yeah, the
6'3", you get a little bit tight in the crotch.
The spacesuit is pretty kind of for everybody.
So you guys just have it in the closet then, right? You didn't get rid of it.
Should have a few.
We have a few left.
I mean, we would order 25, 50 at a time.
Yeah.
They were more expensive to get all the
patches
put on them than it was to buy them. I know that because I would go to the tailor and I'd have the Colorado flag, the manufactured superstars, my patch, Shawn's patch. So that was always more expensive than the actual spacesuits, and the spacesuits didn't make it more than 5 or 6 shows.
It depended on how much cranberry juice was around.
I mean,
they were white nylon and drunk people with cranberry juice doesn't really work well together.
Yeah, they didn't have a long shelf life. I mean, we gave a lot away, right?
Yeah, we gave a lot of them away. Because fans would be stoked to get them. You know what I mean? It's like getting a guitar pick or
because we always
a whole spacesuit somewhere in someone's house as a whole.
Well, they have a perceived value of very expensive when they're literally our Halloween costumes that cost $39 each, and then we had to put the patches on them. You know what I mean? So they were an awesome, cool giveaway for super fans.
Yeah,
shoot, Halloween's gonna be awesome. You guys, do nerves play a factor anymore? Or is it more just like in the?
Oh, it's definitely going to be. Yeah, I mean, we've never played this whole set's a brand new set. Like, I mean,
it's been a long time since we've played a full brand new set. I can tell you that because everything else was like an evolution and evolution and evolution. Yeah. This is like cool. Throw out everything and switch from Mac to Windows.
Start from
you know what I mean? And you still have a podcast due at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Brad was saying, when are you gonna throw this up? I was like, in 20 minutes, we're gonna do this. And then we're gonna.
I mean, I've been goofing around DJing on our CDJs at Bounce Empire and with.
No,
Sacred
we played
Society,
a Bounce Empire beta throwback party, but then we just played old content because it was literally a party for the old beta regs. OGs.
But I don't think Shawn has really DJed that as much, and I was like, it's gotten much easier.
Yeah.
And so as technology improves.
We didn't even talk about beta. I mean, was that kind of like the launch pad of everything for you guys? Like you did beta, and then where did beta play into?
We were already in Vegas before beta opened.
Oh, okay. So then you came back and was like, hey, let's open beta?
It was about, I mean, it was about the same time. Yeah, we started DJing at the Church and Vinyl and started getting some gigs.
We were at Rain with Polo Control.
Yeah, we were before
during that time.
Yeah, before. That was I think we had a 2-year residency at Rain, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So that was right when beta was opening and the first year, and then we moved to XS in 2010. So, I mean, once beta got running good too, that was worldwide famous.
Yeah,
it took a lot of pressure off me to be able to go DJ because that kind of happened. Beta and Manufactured Superstars both getting dialed in happened almost simultaneously because I couldn't be in two places at once, right? I couldn't. and I couldn't be
Yeah,
and when we were doing 150 shows a year,
We weren't there at all.
Yeah,
Like, we missed months and months and months.
Yeah, we would play Beta maybe once or twice a year. 2010, 2011, 2012.
So you'd almost come home. It was just like a home show, and then you're back on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were gone
all the
always.
time.
Do you miss traveling, or was it kind of exhausting to a certain point? I mean, it had to be fun, but like, what was that?
I mean, it's a blessing, man. I mean, we got to see the whole world. Like, I mean, every time anybody asks me that question, whether it's a friend or my, wife's uncle,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's always like, I mean, we got to see, like, I go places with my wife now, and it's like, oh, I've been to Korea 9 times. Oh, I've been to Bali 11 times because we played there. We went to Macau 5 times.
But have you ever been sober?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay.
So it's totally a blessing. I mean, it definitely is exhausting as you get older, and in anybody's life, it's a little harder to travel. But I mean, I still travel. I mean, I have a house in the Caribbean. I just got back on Sunday, so we travel quite a bit in regular life. So
Yeah.
I think half the reason why we were like as popular and did as many shows as we did is we actually could do it. You look at a lot of these, like most of these DJs now play 60, 70, 80 shows a year. Like we were cut out of a different mold. Like we were just different that we could actually do it and not break. Like a lot of people, I think, just couldn't do that many shows. And we were like right at the tier where we couldn't quite fly private everywhere. And, if we were a little bit more popular, it would have been a lot easier. It would have been easier to play 200 shows like Diplo and Tiesto and Armin van Buuren than it was to play 150 shows flying commercial.
Flying the routes that they have chosen for you.
Yeah.
Do any of those guys just think you, like, did you set like a tone for them? Like to where they're just like, man, we looked up to you, we listened to you, or you inspired us. Do you ever hear anything like that?
I mean, I'm not from like Diplo, but I mean, I've heard it from other people in
Yeah.
the industry. Yeah, for sure that we've met, I mean, I'll still run into people that are like super fans. Like I went to a wedding in Glenwood Springs, and there was a dude there that was like, "Dude, you're the guy from Manufactured Superstars." Hold on, I gotta go get my wife. Like grabs her, she's like, I saw you guys 25 times. I used to live in Orange County. I go to Sutra every time you guys played. It was one of the best nights ever. I met her there, so
Yeah.
I think DJs didn't really know how to handle us either, because it's like, oh, from a business standpoint, we're Beatport, but from a professional standpoint, we're party DJs. And so, everybody just kind of, I don't think from an artist point of view, I think everybody was like kind of intrigued what we were doing. But they were like, oh, they're party DJs. They're not Berlin techno. They're not, German trance. They're, Dutch trance. They're, so I don't think we were ever looking for pure admiration.
Yeah.
That was never an objective of us. Again, because for me it was more of an alter ego. So like I got my peers from Beatport or Beta or Church and Vinyl or as a promoter, so I didn't need any like peer validation at all. I wasn't looking for that.
Well, I stand by my original statement about you guys being revolutionaries. I think that to come on that era of 2004, when really the digital age, I mean, that was Napster, that was LimeWire, and to not just as like the 18-year-old kid myself, then I was like, oh man, I can just download music. You guys saw that, or you saw it, and we're like, hey, this can be used by artists, by musicians, by DJs, and you really saw the kind of the Western frontier, and you put your stake in the ground. And I think that is something to be said. And what you guys did to where you're having fun and you're enjoying the music and you love what you did, and you made Manufactured Superstars out of just a passion of loving what you do. Man, you guys are revolutionaries, and I think that's. I think that you guys are modest about it. That's awesome. I mean, it speaks volumes to your character, but I think it's fantastic what you guys have done, that you traveled the world. And I'm grateful to have spent time to talk to you guys and learn about everything that you guys have done. And I will be taking your edibles while going to your Bounce Empire and then eating some popcorn at the end of it.
Perfect. Then Snapchat me afterwards.
Yeah. I'll be listening to you guys on my headset, Snapchatting you. So I appreciate you guys coming on. And Coloween's a big deal. So if you guys want to, I mean, it'll be like Hot Ones. There's a camera there, there if you want to promote Coloween and what you guys got going on.
Awesome. Coloween.
Coloween. That camera right there. Yeah, but that's your camera.
There.
Coloween, October 26th. Manufactured Superstars are back.
So now I want to redo this, and I want to redo it as Hot Ones.
Oh yeah.
So
We
I
want
think
some hot
I think a year from today, if we go back on tour, we should put some hot wings in front of us.
I agree.
And redo this and see how sweaty we get.
I agree. Let's do it, man. Well, I appreciate both you guys coming on.
Aren't you gonna do a
Brad.
shout out?
Yeah, you give your shout out
I
now.
mean, for sure. Check out Sano Gardens and all the dispensaries in Colorado.
Coloween.
Whatever, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
It's my fucking time, bro. Turn his mic off.
Here's your time. Go.
Sano Gardens, killer cannabis company in Colorado that we work hard to bring people the best strains and flavored vapes and edibles across thing. Super excited to play Coloween. Really excited to bring all this music to the Denver masses.
Do you want to promote Bounce Empire now?
Yeah. Come to Bounce Empire.
Thank you guys.
By the way,
Appreciate
I'm
you.
from Denver.
And we are too. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Man, it's great having both you guys on.
Thank
and
you.
I'll be there at Halloween.
What are you going to be?
I don't know. I might dress up as you guys.
Very
now.
good.
That's
the best costume. Easy.
I'll send you the Amazon link as soon as we're done.
It's done. Yeah, please.